to silence their cell phones or turn them off. We do have some presentations today. At this time, I would like to ask William Spears if he would come up and say the invocation for us.
Let's bow our heads. Father God, we come to you today and we ask your blessings on the decisions made here today. And we ask, Lord, that you continue to guide the leadership of this county, Lord, that it might move forward for the betterment of the citizens. We ask it all in the precious name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Judge Jones.
Present.
Commissioner Robertson.
Here.
Commissioner Tackett.
Here.
Commissioner Booth.
Here. We have a quorum and we are ready to proceed. I'd like to ask Mr. Chuck Morley, who is our solid waste manager, if he'd lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the May 18th and May 28th, 2021 meetings of the Pike County Fiscal Court. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second? Second. Second by Commissioner Robertson. Any question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson.
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett.
Yes.
Commissioner Booth.
Yes.
Judge Jones.
Yes. The next item on the agenda is we have a presentation from the Pike County Conservation District. To give us their update, we have Ms. Leanne Coleman, who's a district board member, and Ms. Lisa Birchfield, who is a district administrative secretary. Would y'all like to come up here and have a seat, or would y'all like?
Oh, well, we can then. Come on.
How's Leanne doing today? Good. I hope your mom and dad are doing well.
This is my first year with soil and water conservation. It's been great so far, and we've done some tree seedling giveaways. We did that in April. We do it every year. This year we gave out 6,200 trees, and 300 residents picked those up and planted them. And this is our first year hosting a free garden seed giveaway. It went really good. We gave out variety seeds to 126 families, and we had fun doing it. It took us about a week to get all those seeds put in bags, but we did it.
It's a big job packing it out.
Yeah. And then the district county has a cost share program that helps landowners with funding and small projects that doesn't qualify for other programs. This program has been a great asset for our beekeepers. The Conservation District co-sponsors the art and writing contest with Kentucky Farm Bureau, and we get students and teachers to participate. And let's see what else we do. We promoted the Soil Stewardship Week by supplying educational materials to the school and public libraries. We assist landowners in applying for farm numbers and assist in filling out Kentucky agriculture water quality plans. We reimburse the solid waste in the removal of dead farm animals, work with the fiscal court and solid waste doing white goods buyback program. Last fall, we took 1,172 appliances for a total of 17,580 that is no longer littering our hillsides and creek banks. 7,500 of that was from the environmental grant. We would like to thank the fiscal court and solid waste for the use of their facilities and equipment for that program. We hope to host a hay workshop this fall. We're working with the UK Extension Office to set a date, and this program helps educate local farmers on the best practices for their hay fields. Attendees will receive hay seed. And that's what we've done so far and what we plan on doing.
And we also plan on hosting the white goods buyback again this fall. We just haven't set up the dates for anything yet. That will probably be set up maybe sometime in September, October.
Well, let us know if you want to come back and announce that when you get an opportunity. We appreciate what you all do, and if we can be of any help, let us know.
All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right. The next item on the agenda is a presentation from Mr. Stephen Wright, who is the Vice President of West Care, Kentucky. This is regarding the West Care Judy Patton Center for Families. Mr. Wright, come on up, sir.
Good morning, and I'd like to thank the court and Commissioner Tackett for asking me to come today. I think it's important to update the county and everyone on the project at Lookout, the Judy Patton Center. If you'll go ahead and change the slide for me. As you can see, this was first in a vision from county officials back in 2006 when some people came out and viewed our Women and Children's program in Nevada. We acquired the property in 2008. Unfortunately, immediately after we acquired this property, it was vandalized, theft, and those things. So that immediately changed the scope of the project and what we were working on. At that point, it looked like that it would never come to fruition, that we'd be able to complete this. In 2015, when I took this position, it became one of our priorities, one of the things I wanted to accomplish. Simply because of the need in the community and the need in the area. So we looked at a variety of funding sources of those things, and as you can see from the presentation, we had to approach this a little differently. We looked at this as an economic development piece, A, because of the jobs it would bring in the community, and two, part of economic development is improving your workforce and bringing these people that have had substance abuse issues back into society and back into the workforce. Construction was completed in August of 2020, and we opened the doors in March of this year, and we are operational and serving clients today. If you'll change the slide for me. It is a licensed facility. There are 96 beds in the facility. We have 25 positions there. Those are all filled right now. As our census and things increases, that number will go up, and we will hire more people for that facility. Most of the employees that are there are from the Lookout community, which is exactly what we wanted. We wanted to return jobs and things back to that community. After the school left in the early 2000s, there's not a lot of things and opportunities left there, and this is most definitely brought some interest and opportunities back to that community. The facility director is a licensed psychologist from Elkhorn City, Dr. Tiffany Sloan. She's been employed at West Care now for 3 years, and she is running that facility for us. The program is a 6-month-long residential substance abuse treatment program. And again, right now we have about 20 clients, but we are licensed for 96. You'll change the slide for me. It's almost impossible to get a good photo of this building, just the way it's laid out. But as you can see here, it has been a drastic change from what it was. The building was in terrible shape when we first started construction. You can change the slide for me, please. And this is just some of the things from the inside now that the facility is complete. You can go ahead and change for me. Just an example of the client room. I'm sorry, this is the hallways and the common area for the clients. You can change the slide for me. Same thing, the building, the clients have taken ownership of it. The building's decorated and those things. You can go on client rooms. Besides the Lookout program, if you want to go ahead for me. Just to give you an update on some of the things that West Care does in the county. We have the Perry Klein Emergency Shelter in Pikeville, which is a 45-bed facility. It serves a variety of needs, and we get individuals with mental health issues, substance abuse issues, nowhere to go, individuals released from the ER and those things, and we are that point of rescue for them where we take them off the streets and get them stable housing, back on their feet, and then placed into permanent housing. We have the Hal Rogers Appalachian Recovery Center at Ash Camp. It is a 112-bed facility. We have operated it since 2005. We also, the Lookout Center that we just mentioned, we have a program in the Pike County Detention Center, which is now up around 120 beds, and we've had it since 2006. We also have 4 different federal grants that we're running right now. The Supported Employment Grant, which we use in both of our residential centers, where we provide employment services for the clients that go through. So when they leave treatment, they are immediately placed into a job. And as of right now, over the past year, almost 90% of the individuals who participated in that program have left treatment and are currently working today. We have a medication-assisted treatment program that we also do in our residential centers, where they receive Vivitrol injections, which reduces the risk of overdose when they leave treatment, which is when most people do overdose, is 60 days post-release of a jail or a treatment center. So we start them on so they leave the program with the Vivitrol injections, and they continue those in hopes of reducing that. We then have the grant to benefits homeless individuals, which is operated out of our Perry Klein shelter as well. And what that grant does is provides extensive case management to the clients once they leave, because what we have learned over the years, one of the reasons when clients leave, they often don't have the life skills to be able to remain housed, and so they end up in a cycle of returning to the shelter. This project links those case managers with them so that they keep them up to date on their bills and those things, so they don't continue in this cycle and return back to the shelter. And then we have the offender reentry program, which over the course of the past 3 years has assisted about 150 men and women who have been released from incarceration with no place to go. So instead of turning those individuals out to the street, they come in, we put them in substance abuse program, find them employment, and then link those individuals to housing as well. You can go ahead and change the slide for me. One of the things that I'm probably the most proud of is since 2017, you can see we've created almost 50 new jobs in the county. Most of those are at our Ash Camp and now our Lookout Center. Our lowest starting wage is $10.50 an hour. You can see we formed over 4,000 annually of community service hours. That's our clients at both the Ash Camp and the Perry Klein shelter. We average about 500 bed nights a month at the Perry Klein shelter. That number usually is much higher in the winter. The summer is our lowest time that we see the least clients there. Since we opened, we have now graduated over 4,000 men through our program at Ash Camp, and from the shelter this year, we have placed 82 families from the homeless shelter into permanent housing. So that's just a quick overview of the things that WestCare is doing in the county, and we have hopefully more good things to come in the future. Thank the court for your time today.
First of all, let me, on behalf of the fiscal court and the citizens of the county, thank you and the folks at WestCare for what you've done. We've lost so many people to substance abuse, and it's a continuing problem. It seems to get worse. But it would have been a lot worse if it weren't for WestCare and other groups that have come in, ARC, other groups that have come in to try to help fill the need for treatment here in the community. For a lot of families, having to go out of town or out of state for treatment is just really financially not feasible. And WestCare provides a service, and it's, as I understand it, even if you can't pay for it, they provide the service. Right. You know, a lot of organizations don't do that, and the fact that we need the number of drug treatment facilities in this county that we do, the fact that we've had to open up a center just for women, I mean, it should be concerning to everybody in the county, because it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter how rich, how poor, male, female, Republican, Democrat, race, it doesn't matter. No one is immune from this problem, whether it's them personally or a member of their family or a friend or a coworker, or someone they go to church with, or whatever it may be. And you know, we've seen a proliferation of meth. I just saw in the news that the U.S. Attorney's Office had had prosecuted, and the federal court had sentenced 2 individuals to prison sentences for trafficking meth here. It is an epidemic that seems to get worse. In the years I was in the legislature, we had tried to address it. When we passed Senate or House Bill 1 that cracked down the pill mill problem, we saw an influx of heroin. We've tried to crack down on heroin, and now we're seeing meth. So it's a problem. It's not going to go away, but thank God there are organizations like WestCare that are willing to help people, because you've saved a lot of lives. You've prevented people from destroying their lives and that of their family members and friends who have had to witness what they've been through. And our jails are full, our prisons are full. And when I was in the legislature, Governor Patton was in office, and I think it was Commissioner Vert Taylor who was Commissioner of the Department of Corrections. And I asked a question in the committee. I said, what percentage of individuals incarcerated in Kentucky would you estimate are incarcerated for drug offenses or offenses that were committed under the influence of drugs? And he said 80%. And that was just shocking to me. I do think that drugs, this epidemic is driving a lot of the social problems that we are facing here in Eastern Kentucky. Would any of the members of the court like to say anything on this issue?
I'd just like to thank Mr. Wright and WestCare for what they've done. I mean, Steve's talked 2 or 3 times trying to get this. We come down and give a little feel what WestCare does to this county, and with the pandemic, and it's been some blocks. But I just want to thank them and what y'all do for our communities.
Commissioner Taggett.
Commissioner Robertson, you have anything?
I just want to thank WestCare and your help of what we're doing for the people in Pike County, especially the younger. See, well, drugs affect all ages, I know that, but we do have a real bad problem with this here. I'm glad we do have you all to help take care of this.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Booth, you have anything?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank them. I mean, it is great that we do have them here in this county, and all for what they do, and I just want to thank them for everything that they do for this county.
We much appreciate it.
One thing I want to mention while you're here is the county had the prior court signed off on pursuing a class action against some of the opioid distributors. This court approved a memorandum of understanding for the Attorney General, Daniel Cameron, that if we can obtain a settlement, that the funds, how they would have to be used. I was very disappointed when the county received the last settlement of $4 million against Purdue Pharma, the manufacturer of OxyContin, that not 1 cent of that money went for drug treatment. You're aware of that, aren't you?
Yes, sir, I am aware of that.
So the fiscal court received $4 million as part of that settlement. They just used it to plug in their budget. It was spent on garbage pickup. It was spent on whatever. None of the money went for what it was intended to go for. This money we intend to use for helping groups like WestCare and ARC. I've already had a conversation with Jailer Brian Morris about what we can do if we get this money to expand drug treatment inside the jail. What we might be able to do working with Reed Atkins or Mr. Trimble in the city schools with David Trimble to try to do something for drug prevention. I'm a big supporter of educating our kids and trying to keep them off drugs, because it's a lot easier to keep them off of it than it is to get them off of it when they get on it. I think that would be a fair statement.
I think you're exactly right, Judge. Before working in this field, I actually worked in education and taught school. Unfortunately, I could identify those kids as early as 6th and 7th grade, and I've unfortunately been in the position where I've now seen them and their parents in our treatment centers and in our programs. So most definitely the spot that we need to place a great amount of attention to is prevention, because it's much easier to prevent it than it is to try to treat these individuals and correct their lives once they have done all this.
You know, I'm just one vote on the court, but it would be my ideal situation is if this settlement comes through, that we could get together with you, the folks at West Care, ARC, representatives from the Pike County, Pikeville Independent Schools, and our jailer, Brian Morris, and his staff, to see what kind of plans how we can best spend this money. We need to talk to some of our first responders about, this money can be used for providing naloxone to first responders. But going back to what you said about kids in 6th and 7th grade, I have a friend of mine who has a child who's been in some trouble, was charged with a drug-related offense. Not the first time the person had been charged, but when I talked to my friend, he basically said that his child had admitted that they started using drugs in high school, and they had no clue that had happened. They had no idea that their child was experimenting with drugs. That's why I've always sort of been against legalizing marijuana. And there's a lot of people in a lot of states that are moving, advocating for legalizing marijuana. I don't have any scientific data, but I do have, after 27 years practicing law here and seeing what happens. I had a really close friend killed in a car wreck 3 years ago in a drug driver related crash. I had another friend of mine growing up that was killed a few weeks ago in a alleged drug driver related crash. It's just one person after another. I've seen it over and over in the 27 years I've practiced law. And I believe, and I've had people tell me that they've started smoking marijuana, and then that led to, stronger drugs. So what's your position on that? What's your thoughts on that?
Over the years, after doing hundreds of assessments myself, I can almost lay out that substance abuse history pattern on every client that I sit down. It usually starts about age of 12. You'll see the individual started with alcohol that they obtained from a family member or within the home. Then it progresses to marijuana shortly after that. And then usually by the age of 15 or 16, they've moved on to harder drugs. So you'll see almost in every case that progression. It will start with alcohol to marijuana, then on to the harder substances. So you're absolutely correct in that.
And rarely do you see someone go down the path of using, prescription medications or heroin or meth that haven't first started down the road with alcohol or marijuana. A lot of people start by going in mom and dad's medicine cabinet and pulling it out and experimenting with it. We've had so many people, and I can just think back, people I grew up with, friends who have died of overdoses. And I think that we have a responsibility that if we do get this money, that we get the professionals like yourself together from the different organizations, in, the state police, the sheriff's office, our city, Pikeville PD, Colerain, our law enforcement community, and let's find a way that we could spend whatever it is, if it's $2 million, if it's $4 million, if it's $8 million. I'm not sure what it might be, if we even get it. But if we do get it, that it needs to be spent in a targeted way. And I think one of those components needs to be an education program in our schools. It's really sad that with all the money that's been spent on substance abuse treatment, that there's no real emphasis on prevention in our schools. And I think that's a fair statement too. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with you 100% on that, Judge.
So, we're spending a lot of money on medication-assisted treatment, as a society, we're spending a lot of money on counseling, but I think the piece that's really missing is prevention and education. You know, Nancy Reagan, just say no. And I know that's, a lot of people criticize that approach, but really, to me, that's what, you know, don't do it, stay away from it. I don't think a lot of young kids perceive the danger associated with it. But again, if we'll know something hopefully here before too long about this proposed settlement. Hopefully, if it comes through, that we'll have a pool of money that we can use to address the drug epidemic in Pike County, Kentucky.
Be willing to assist in any way possible, and I think that you're exactly right, Judge. The answer is prevention, intervention, and treatment. There's not just one approach that we can use with this. It has to be a collaboration amongst law enforcement, treatment providers, county officials, and everyone. If we really want to tackle this problem, I can tell you I would like to sit in front of you today and say, since I started in 2007 in this field, that things are better. I will sit here today and tell you that things are worse today than when I started.
I don't think there's any question about it. Like I said, I've had 2 friends since December 5th of 2018 was my friend, my buddy was killed. Had another one killed 3 weeks ago. Both of them, one I know was a drug driver. One has been charged with driving under the influence as a result of that crash. I mean, 2 friends hit head on by vehicles on the wrong side of the road on a 4-lane highway. They lose their life because people choose to take drugs and get behind the wheel of a car. And it is, or allegedly take drugs and get behind the wheel of a car. You know, when you see one of your friends die and you see a little 3-year-old lose her dad, it's something that can't be replaced. And it could have been me, it could have been you, it could have been anybody listening to this program. Just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time when somebody made a decision to get behind the wheel of a car. We've seen horrific crimes committed in our community, the loss of a police officer. Scotty Hamilton lost his life because of the drug epidemic. Law enforcement officers across the country. So we need a comprehensive way to spend this money, and I can commit to you is if I'm here and this court's here, that money's not going to be squandered as in the past. It's not going to be plugged in to fill a budget hole or a budget shortfall. It's going to be spent on what it was intended to be spent for. And like I said, we'd like WestCare to be part of that conversation on how best to do that.
Gladly. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you very much. Anytime you need to come down and give us an update, we'd be happy to have you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we go on, I'd like to address an issue that relates to the 4th item on the agenda. And we have before us acknowledgement of the receipt of the Pike County Public Library District's budget for July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022. I don't see this in the budget unless I've missed it. And Frankie, you can help me with this being an accountant. It is my understanding that the library district has a rather large cash surplus. Did you see that referenced on this budget? I mean, they're showing income of $4,000 in interest. So at 1%, it shows $4,000 in interest, which I think we need to request that. I do want to bring something up to the public's attention. When we came in office, I was very concerned about the library district. I was concerned about the fact that their tax rate was not much lower than that of the fiscal court. I was concerned because I saw what I was paying for the library taxes. Right now, we have a shortage of jobs, of good paying jobs in eastern Kentucky, and particularly in this county. A couple weeks ago, Tim Hatfield, who's the CEO of Highlands ARH, he's a Pond Creek boy, sent me a message saying that, our occupational tax is likely to go up because revenue is likely to go up because ARH has given raises over at Tug Valley. There's 2 hospitals in Pike County. One of them is in the city of Pikeville, obviously, Pikeville Medical Center. One of them is in the county tax base at South Williams. Paying nurses upwards of $30 an hour. Those are good paying jobs. My dad was in the hospital here a few years ago, and one of the nurses that was taking care of him was a gentleman who had worked in the coal mines, had lost his job, had gone back to nursing school, and was working as an ICU nurse taking care of my dad. We have a lot of smart people here. We have a lot of people who have a lot of skills, but the coal industry, the employment we've seen plummet across the coal industry, not just here, but in western Kentucky, West Virginia, throughout the Appalachian coal fields. I was approached some time ago by Burton Webb. Dr. Webb is the president of the University of Pike. Lori Worth, who is the provost, and Mr. Terry Dotson, who is the president and CEO of Worldwide Equipment. Terry's Pike County native who's spent a lot of time and effort working as chairman of the board at the University of Pike. And I just like to ask people to go back, when I graduated from high school, it was unthinkable that the University of Pikeville would have a medical school. It's unthinkable that they would have an optometry, the only optometry school in Kentucky. They've had a long standing history of training top-notch nurses. They developed an MBA program. But I was approached by the administration at the University of Pikeville. And I want people to remember how much money that these students are bringing into our community. All the medical students, optometry students, and nursing students. The University of Pikeville wanted to work out a deal where they could either buy or lease a portion of the library building that the current library currently has here on Hamley Boulevard. The tower portion is owned by the University of Pikeville. The other portion contains the library that serves downtown Pikeville. The University of Pikeville approached Governor Patton, who is chancellor at the University of Pikeville. We had a meeting to discuss with Miss Allen and the board of directors at the library the possibility of working out some type of lease or sale of that building, their portion of that building, to the university for one purpose: to expand the nursing program. Right now, there are hundreds of openings here in eastern Kentucky for RNs, hundreds of positions. Don't hold me to this, but I was told that Pikeville Medical Center could hire 150 new nurses right now. They're having to bring in temporary nurses, or they were having to hire temporary nurses to come in. Commissioner Robertson's wife is a nurse at Pikeville Medical Center. Fabian Little's daughter is a nurse at Pikeville Medical Center. Greg Fannon's daughter is a nurse at Pikeville Medical Center. And these are good paying jobs. The University of Pikeville, if they could acquire that library building, could triple the size of their nursing program. In 2 years, it would put hundreds of new nurses. In just a couple years, you would start seeing hundreds of new nursing jobs filled here in Pike County and eastern Kentucky. Those jobs would be people who would be paying property taxes. Those people would be paying occupational taxes, and it would help turn the tide of the loss of coal jobs. Unfortunately, our library board would not even consider that proposal. It's very short-sighted. They spent somewhere around $10 or $12 million on a library down beside a Burger King. And it's a nice library. And let me say this, I fully support libraries. I grew up across the street from the Vesta Roberts Johnson Memorial Library. And but things have changed a lot. Very few people don't have access to the internet, to online resources. And our libraries are important. If you look at my record when I was in the state senate, I was very supportive of the libraries. But this decision by the library board was very short-sighted and will have a long-term negative impact on our community. The University of Pikeville offered to make available their library that has 2 elevators right off of the boulevard that will take patrons up to the library. The library at the University of Pikeville was offered to be made available to the general public, which it already is, in the event that the Pike County Library Board would agree to work something out with the university. We have an asset that every other county in eastern Kentucky would love to have. Do you think Letcher County wouldn't love to have what the University of Pikeville has offered us? Or Martin County, or Johnson County? Every other county around us would love to have the University of Pikeville. And if you recall, at one time the discussion was to take the medical school to Painesville. We were fortunate that it came here. It has had a tremendous impact on a lot of lives. Unfortunately, the library board does not agree with that. It was a very short-sighted decision, and I am very upset about it. With jobs as scarce as they are, with the need at Pikeville Medical Center, Tug Valley, and Highlands, and St. Joseph ARH at Martin, all those hospitals need nurses, and we could put people to work as soon as they graduate. But yet the library board said no. And I do think it would be nice to know how much money the library board has in reserves right now. We could debate, and I plan on calling on some of our legislative delegation to introduce legislation to change how we choose library board members. I do not have the authority to pick and choose nominate who I think would be the best people for those jobs, and the commissioners do not have any say-so on who is nominated any more than I do. There are some really good people on the library board. I just really question this decision. And as long as I'm judge, I'm going to continue to question it. This is really, really detrimental to our community. And I would hope that the public would join me in questioning this decision when allowing or working something out with the university would have such an immediate positive impact on Pike County. So I wanted to say that, and I thought it needed to be said. So with that, we do have their budget here. Is anyone here from the library board? So is there a reason that no one's here from the library board to answer questions? Okay. I suspect that this has to be done by July 1st, and we're just now getting it. What's your thoughts on it, gentlemen? Do we acknowledge the budget when we don't have full information?
No.
Okay. So, with no one here to answer questions, I think it would be prudent to have a representative, Ms. Allen, and if necessary, their general counsel here to answer some questions for the court, because I think the public needs to understand their decision as to why that they would refuse to work with the University of Pikeville in expanding a nursing program that would help so many students and so many patients and obviously impact our economy. Fabian, Greg, what's the nurse start out at, 50, 60,000 a year? Somewhere higher than that? 60, 70,000? So these could triple.
About where my daughter's at, she started too, about the same time Fabian's did.
So about $70,000 starting salary for nurses, and they could triple the size of the program, and the library board is standing in the way. I think we need to pass over their budget. If they want to come in for a special meeting and we can discuss this, I think that's something we probably need to do. So I'm gonna, is there a motion to pass over this item on the agenda till we can have some answers?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Robertson, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Booth. Any other question or discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett,
Yes.
Commissioner Booth,
Yes.
Judge Jones.
Yes. All right. So we'll let the library board come in and explain to us some of their decisions, and then we can decide if we're going to acknowledge the budget or not. And we can find out if we don't acknowledge it, what that means for them as well. So this probably would entail a special meeting before the 30th, so maybe later. So it would have to be a morning meeting. So, all right. The next item on the agenda is acknowledgement, discuss the reopening of the Pike County Senior Citizen Centers. We have Ms. Diana Thacker, who is the director of the Pike County Senior Citizens Program.
Good morning.
Diane, I want to start with asking some questions, okay?
Okay.
Just so the public understands this, who makes the decisions about what is done with the Senior Citizens Program?
The Senior Citizens Board.
The public probably doesn't understand this. The role the fiscal court plays is we put $500,000 a year into the Senior Citizens Program to help subsidize it. That's essentially what we do, correct?
Right, sir.
And we help pay your insurance,
Right.
and that's in addition to the $500,000, correct?
Right.
And we help take care of your vehicles,
Yes, sir.
and we help take care of your facilities.
Right.
So it's actually quite a bit more money that goes into our senior program than just the $500,000.
Certainly. Yes.
So you might want to pull that mic closer, because I'm going to have a few more questions for you. There were some questions made about why 2 of the centers were shut down. Now, it's fair to say the fiscal court did not make those decisions.
No, sir, you did not.
And how is the board selected that makes those kind of decisions, that sets your budget? Let me back up and ask you this. The fiscal court doesn't set the senior citizens' budget either, is that correct?
No, sir.
So can you tell the folks that might be watching this, the press, how this board that runs the senior citizens program is selected?
Yes, sir. The fiscal court doesn't have anything to do with, like, any of the decisions that's made with the Senior Citizens Board. We bring those decisions to you all, and you all do not pick the board members. You know, you don't nominate the board members. It is each center nominates who they want. They have an election, and this election comes, the guidelines from Big Sandy Area Development District. You have nominations for like 2 weeks, and it can be someone that goes to the Senior Citizen Center. It does not have to be a senior. It can be someone in the community. But most of the centers nominate someone that's in the middle of their, their center, so that they're involved with them. And then when they have the election, each one of the seniors, even if they come in, they can come in and they drop their vote in a box. It doesn't have anything to do with me. It's just thoroughly the Senior Citizen Center that elects their own board member. And it's the board that takes the recommendations of Big Sandy Area Development District. If we don't have enough people and our service numbers are not enough, then we have no choice. You see how much it takes. It's the building expense, the vehicles, and all that. Then that's the reason that we choose to close. But the reason that the 2 centers that were closed, they were low with their service reports, their numbers. And there was a center at Kemper, a center at Freeburn, and a center at Blackberry. So that's 3 that was in that one district. And then there also was Belfry. You know, it wasn't in that district, but it's still, when you look at a map, it was 4 centers that were really close.
So let me ask you a question, like Phelps. Is it fair to say that when they shut those centers down that no one has missed a home-delivered meal?
No, sir, they're not.
And the Phelps area is served by Blackberry?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And other areas are served by Kemper?
Yes, Grapevine, we took that. And Elkhorn services all of the Marbone area. No one has missed a home-delivered meal.
And I think it's fair to say, too, that even if we had more funding from the fiscal court, that it still would not be possible to keep any of those centers open financially.
No, sir.
What are the plans for reopening the senior citizens program?
Okay, in the last board meeting, the board voted to try to open by July the 6th. We had the director of the aging services from Big Sandy Ed there. She explained all the guidelines of all of the things that we have to do in order to open. So we're getting all that ready now. I met with all the directors last week, and all of them, I think, are going to be ready July the 6th, except Kemper. And we also discussed that with the aging services. We can't find anybody that wants to work. The director, up in July, will be the only employee we have at the Kemper Center.
Well, we talked about this at the last fiscal court meeting. We voted to hire 10 temporary workers in the road department. Not bad pay. You know, some of them start out up to close to $17 an hour, and we couldn't get but 6.
Right.
So, so it's hit the senior citizen center as well.
Yes. We've advertised and we've advertised. But the director has been the cook since last March when we closed all the centers down. She's cooked, but she had a meal driver. So she had a helper. And the meal driver has been offered a full-time job, and so she gave her notice last Friday. And if we don't open the Kemper Center up to bring the seniors back in right now, that's what we're planning. And Big Sandy had agreed with that. Till by August, we should certainly have somebody that will work. The director is going to cook and deliver the meals both. And Belfry is going to help them. So,
let me just run through the summary. So, centers will open on July 6, 2021. No mask will be required if you've been vaccinated. Is that right?
right. The only one that has to wear a mask is the employees if they've not been vaccinated.
Right. Pikeville's temporarily working out of the Shelby Valley Center. They're going to be open 4 days a week. They're delivering 125 meals a day currently. About 25 pick up their own meal. Shelby Valley is going to be open 3 days a week, and they currently have 50 home delivered meals, 5 picking theirs up. Elkhorn Center will be open 4 days a week, and they have 90 home delivered meals they provide. Blackberry McCarr will be open 3 days a week. They have 20 meals picked up by seniors and deliver 56 meals to the homebound. Kemper will be open 3 days a week. They deliver around 30 meals to homebound and pick up their meals. Belfry will be open 5 days a week. They deliver 62 meals a day and have 7 seniors pick up their meals. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. And actually, nothing has changed with our services and with our days of operation since we closed last March.
So one of the things that we need to talk about too, just briefly, I've got a big Sandy Area Development Board meeting I have to be at noon in Prestonsburg, because we're talking about some of this AR, American Relief Plan money for water and sewer, which is important to a lot of projects that we're looking at.
Right.
So one of the things I wanted to mention to you is any progress on trying to find a location for a new center for Pikeville?
No, sir.
I'm concerned about whether we're going to be able to find a location without the city of Pikeville stepping in, because the cost of property, the cost to construct a building, I mean, you could be looking at easily $1 million between property and a building. It's just money we don't have. Justin, have we turned in that building on the insurance just to see what they would say?
Judge, I'm still waiting on the engineer for that to be completed. Termination.
We get on it. I mean, I want it done.
I
Are we?
contacted the engineer, told me he'd call me back, and he's never responded to me.
We'll call him back every day till you get it. If you don't get it tomorrow, call him twice. Okay? I mean, seriously, call him till they'll get your report when they get tired of hearing from you. Okay? All right. So we'll be back in touch when we figure that out from the insurance. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right. Next item on the agenda is the approval to apply to the Kentucky Division of Abandoned Mine Lands, AML, Economic and Development Pilot Program for up to $3,490,487 to be used for development of the infrastructure for the Flatwoods ATV Trails Project, and authorization for the county judge executive to execute all related documents. Sharon has prepared the application. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Robertson. Is there a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Tackett. Any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. Next item is the approval for an interlocal agreement with the City of Colerain Village for the Levisa Fork Basin Flood Risk Management Project. This is something that Mayor Scott and I have worked on, this project, in collaboration with the Fiscal Court and the Colerain City Commission. Basically what it says is that if this flood wall project comes to fruition, that the city and county will share on a 50-50 basis any occupational taxes that may be imposed on the workers. Roy, there is a change that needs to be made. It needs to be occupational and net profit taxes that may be imposed on the workers or contractors. Okay? So with that amendment, and that the city and county will share the cost of maintaining the flood walls in the area adjacent to the flood walls. So the interlocal agreement, so let me restate this. My motion would be to adopt the interlocal agreement as set forth with the amendment that the city and county will share on a 50-50 basis any occupational and net profit taxes that may be imposed on the workers or contractors involved in the project. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Booth. Any other questions or discussions? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. We have approval for our cyber liability insurance. Justin, you want to come up to the podium just real quick and give me a rundown on this?
Yes, Judge, this is something that we had purchased last year. It was not tied in to the traveler's quote this year. It was separate, and I just happened to overlook that when we were approving the insurance policy. This is something that obviously protects us if we had somebody hack into our system and lock it up.
Ransomware, that kind of-
Ransomware, yeah.
I mean, that ransomware is a real scary thing because you saw what it did to the gas pipeline and the impact that had.
Yes, it is.
So is there a motion to approve the purchase of the cyber liability insurance for the total of $84,000 as set forth in your package through Assured Partners? A motion by Commissioner Booth. Is there a second?
Second.
I don't think the liability is 84, the cyber insurance is 84,000.
No, Judge, the cyber liability is $4,383.51.
Okay, then what am I looking at here then?
Now, that's an invoice from Assured Partners.
That's going to be under additional treasurer's business.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. I'm a little bit confused then. All right. So where's the price of this?
It's on page 3, Judge.
Okay, that's my bad.
$4,306.
$4,383.51.
Yeah.
I'm glad y'all caught that. That's my mistake. All right, is there a motion to approve the cyber liability insurance for $4,383.51 from BCS Insurance Company? Motion by Commissioner Booth. Second
Second.
by Commissioner Robertson. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett,
Yes.
Commissioner Booth, Judge Jones.
Yes. Thanks for catching that. It's my bad. All right, next item is the approval of a lease with the Church of God in Jesus' name for county property to be used as a parking lot for the church. Mr. Downey's prepared this. This is, I think this is for Mr. Opie Ray Harris's church. Is that correct? Yes, sir. Okay. And this is just to let them park on the property across from that. Would there be a motion to approve this lease? Motion by Commissioner Booth. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tackett. Any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett.
Yes.
Commissioner Booth, Judge Jones.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is second reading of a proposed ordinance amending the Pike County Administrative Code, Section 484, regarding disciplinary suspension, and Section 486 regarding dismissal of hourly and administrative employees. Mr. Downey, would you please present the second reading?
Section 484, disciplinary suspension, hourly employees and administrative employees, Section 1. Any employee that has one at-fault accident resulting in an injury, any employee that has two at-fault accidents regardless of injury. Amendment to Section 486, dismissal, hourly employees, administrative employees. Any employee that has one at-fault accident resulting in an injury, any employee that has two at-fault accidents regardless of injury, any employee that has three at-fault accidents shall result in termination.
We talked about this previously. We have had drivers, we need to have some teeth in the administrative code that we can get rid of unsafe drivers and have more discretion on when to suspend or dismiss drivers for accidents that result in injury or property damage. So is there a motion to adopt these amendments to Section 484 and 486?
I've got one question, Judge. So if they're not at fault, they're not even considered under this,
No, it's just for at-fault accident.
has to be at fault?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, you know, we've got a problem with some of these drivers. And right now, you can't dismiss them because of that under the administrative code. If a driver hurts somebody, you ought to have the option to either suspend them or fire. And I'm going to have another amendment that's got to be done, because if, you know, we've got some drivers that have been with the county a long time that don't have very good driving records, and if the insurance company says that they're not going to be covered under our insurance, how are you going to put them on the road? So you're going to have an amendment that says that if the insurance carrier excludes them from being a covered driver, that you either have to move them to another position where they don't drive.
Where would that be at, though?
Well, I don't know, but if you can't have a garbage truck driver or a truck driver driving the vehicle if they're not insured.
True.
And
So-
the pay's the same, whether you're riding on the back or driving in it.
No, that's not what we're gonna have to do. We're gonna have to have a change to the code that says if the insurance company says you're no longer eligible to be a covered driver, you can't pay somebody as a driver or a heavy equipment operator if they're not doing that job. They would either have to move into a different position, and if you don't have a job for them, then they'd have to be terminated. But that all comes down to one thing. It comes down to the decisions that the drivers make. I mean, you can't put people on the road that aren't insured. But if you don't do this right here, you're gutting any ability we have to get rid of bad apples. And, you know, if it was your company, I know what you'd do if you had somebody had 2 at-fault accidents.
It might not last that long.
Well, that's the point I'm making. The county shouldn't be saddled with these people either. And what it's doing, I mean, I want to go back when we all gave this when this was given a first reading. If you remember what this did, some of these repeat offenders did to our insurance premiums this year. We're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars more, not back up. The taxpayers are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars more because you had a couple drivers with multiple accidents. And if you don't get them off if you don't find a way to address that, you're going to get to where you can't afford your automobile insurance. That affects the sheriff's office, it affects the solid waste, it affects the road department, it affects the jail. And this needs to be done. Somebody's not at fault.
Well, I agree, you know, if they're not at fault, they don't have anything to worry about.
Well, that's what it says. It says if there has one at-fault accident, they're subject to either suspension or termination.
Right.
I mean, my opinion, I've been there and I've done that. I mean, it's just, anybody can have an accident, was at your fault or not your fault. And I mean, just from my driver's experience, it's just,
Well, if you read
I think
what,
you should, I know, but still, I mean, I don't care if it ain't your fault. Sometimes it's still, I mean, you can't prevent it. Until you've been
Well-
behind the wheel and drove a truck and been up and down some of these hollers and been in positions I've been in,
if you
it don't make no difference. I
if
mean,
you
that's
have-
just my opinion.
if you have a driver that causes an injury accident and you don't have the ability to suspend them or terminate them, then you might as well just throw your administrative code out the window.
If the insurance company,
It doesn't, here's the thing, Brian, you don't have to have, you know, this doesn't mandate you have to do it. The court can take into account the factors and circumstances. But if you've got somebody that's had multiple accidents and you don't have the ability to do something about it, then we're no better than the last court.
yeah, but this don't say multiple accidents, it says one accident.
If you've had one at-fault accident resulting in an injury, they're subject to suspension.
Anybody can have one at-fault accident. I mean, I've been there and done it. I mean, it's just, when you're behind the wheel of a truck and you're driving a truck, anything can happen at any point in time. I mean, whether it's your accident,
but
whether
this
it's your
is-
fault or not, or it's their fault, it's tough on when it says one fault accident, in my opinion.
It says, hang
mean,
on a second, it only says if you have an injury accident, you're subject to it. That still goes back to the discretion of the court.
So it goes back to us whether we terminate them or not.
Right, read it. I mean, it says any employee that has one at-fault accident resulting in injury subject to suspension. If you had a truck driver that killed somebody in a car wreck because they were doing something wrong, and you don't have the ability to suspend them or fire them, I mean, come on. This is a no-brainer. You can. It also says, if you've got somebody that's had 2 at-fault accidents, we've got one driver, and I'm not pointing names, how much does that one driver cost the county?
$756,000.
Okay, and I'm not gonna tolerate that. I mean, you've got one driver that's cost the county that much money, and we can't do anything about it?
Was he at fault at all of them?
Yes.
Apparently so.
I did want to mention, I already do have a letter from Travelers, and it's one I got to respond to within 45 days. On the poor driving, they do list what is poor driving, and it is 3 at-fault accidents. They will laser you out. And if, I was shocked that we never had to provide a driver list before. Keiko didn't mandate that, Brett didn't mandate that. Well, Travelers does. And they don't, and that insurance company, they're not going to play around. They will laser drivers out.
And that's why you're gonna have to amend the code, that if you get somebody that's a driver and the insurance company says, we're not covering that person, then you've got to have the ability to either move them into another job, or if you don't have anything available, to terminate them. But that all comes on to them. That's this court has not taken a hard line approach. If somebody hits a mailbox or something like that, but when you have a situation like what Justin's talking about, if you don't fix this, you're not gonna get to where you can afford car insurance or automobile insurance. That jeopardizes the insurance you provide to your volunteer fire departments. It jeopardizes. How many vehicles does the county insure right now?
I'm wanting to say 465.
465 vehicles is what we're insuring.
And just so you know, I'm working on the driver's list. I don't have it fully completed yet, but we are right now at 540 drivers in the county.
Yeah, you're insuring 540 drivers and 400 vehicles. You don't have much room for error here. You saw, even with our comp going down 352,000, you ended up with a net increase of about 167,000 in premium. Was that what it was?
With the addition of liability, it's 42,000
Was it 42?
net. Yes.
So
But we need to go back to what created this, is the insurance that we had last year.
no,
They're not.
that's not what created it. What your comp went down, but even with $352,000 reduction, your comp premium, your auto and property and casualty went up. What, $400,000?
It went up, yeah.
If you
And it
don't
was all
fix
the
it,
auto.
and you have any more accidents, you're not gonna be able to pay the premiums.
And I will say this, just so you are aware. When we went out for bid on this after Brett sold their book of business, we went to 13 companies, and Travelers is the only company that was willing to give you a quote because of the auto. That is the sole reason that all the other companies declined.
So we don't have much choice.
You don't have any choice. That's why you don't have any choice. I'll make the motion to adopt this, or did you give it the reading? I'll make a motion to adopt these amendments to section 484 and 486. You don't do it, then we're defeating the purpose of trying to have a safety program and trying to clean up the county financially.
I just don't think you should have one accident and then you could be subject.
Well,
Well, that's up to the court.
I mean,
though.
well, I agree.
That's up to the,
Well, I think the intent is it's one accident with an at-fault accident resulting in an injury. And I'll give you an example of what I think the intent is. We had a driver, he was driving, he swerved into the oncoming lane of traffic and T-boned a guy because he says he didn't see the guy. And he hit him and T-boned him, and it resulted in multiple injuries for that gentleman. I think that's the intent.
well, the intent is if somebody's doing something unsafe, they're negligent, and they hurt somebody, the court should have the authority to either suspend them or fire them, depending on the circumstances. Those are all going to be case-by-case basis. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but if you don't do something, you're going to get stuck with a bunch of bad drivers.
Insurance is tough, I know, I deal with it every year too.
Yeah, I mean,
And it gripes me, you know, I've not had a claim, knock on wood, for probably 10 or 12 years, but they still like to gouge me when I renew $2,500 a year.
Here's my question. If this was Robertson Wrecker and you had a truck driver that was driving fast, not paying attention, and hit somebody and hurt them, what would you do? One time, what would you do if they hurt somebody bad? What would you do?
And then if I don't, I'd terminate them.
Well, you answered your own question, so it shouldn't be a different standard.
Second.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion?
I got one more question. On one fault, say for example, it's I'm just gonna say a dump truck sitting in a curve in the head of a holler. Somebody comes by and plows into him. Whose fault is that?
Well, you'd have to look at the police report. You'd have to look in, I mean, you can use common sense.
I know, I understand that part of it, what I'm saying.
And I
but,
don't think
you know,
any of the
if-
three of us is gonna terminate somebody for that.
well, and it's
No,
not
I'm
like,
not going
I
to.
mean,
I'm
hitting a
not.
mailbox. Yeah, you're at fault for hitting a mailbox. It's a
But
mailbox.
that, but you,
We're really talking about,
but if you hit a mailbox, this don't allow you to suspend them or terminate them. I mean, that could happen to any of us.
we're talking about a truck, one of our trucks broke down in the middle of the road.
Well, I mean, okay, let's go on. Did they put their triangles out? Did they put?
They need to do that as soon as possible.
I mean, you know, that can happen, but if they're not complying with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations, I mean, this court and future courts, you would hope, would have enough sense to know when someone needs to be disciplined or not. What this does is it gives you the ability to do that if it's necessary to do that. It doesn't say that if somebody goes out here and makes a mistake, you're going to go fire them the first time. But if you don't have this and you've got somebody that does something terribly egregious, then you got no ability to discipline. And we know, since we've been here, that when we came in office, that employee discipline was not exactly something that was focused on.
I'm just saying, we hope this doesn't happen, but if it does happen, we need to take a look at it. I mean, I think we've got enough judgment about us whether we get rid of somebody or keep somebody.
This is not intended to hurt any county employee. It is designed to make sure that if somebody doesn't need to be behind the wheel, they're outside their probationary period, that you've got a way to get them out of a vehicle. And you're going to be getting another proposed order. You're going to have to address this. If, you know, you've got a truck driver and Traveler says, we're not covering this driver, what are you going to do with them? You going to put them out on the road with no insurance?
We can't do that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You've got to come up with a solution to that.
And I'll have that one ready for you, Judge, at the next meeting.
And you either get to move them into a different position if you've got something available. But let's just face it, how many employees don't, you know, if you can't even drive a pickup truck, what are you going to be able to do? I mean, you can't put somebody on the road with no insurance. But those are all decisions that are within the control of the driver, based on how you know, if they're safe, if they're if they're obeying the speed limit and those kind of things. But that's for another day. So we do have a motion and a second. Is there any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett,
Yes.
Commissioner Booth,
No.
Judge Jones.
Yes. The next item is second reading of a proposed ordinance establishing a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit for Taylor Ford. Please proceed.
Okay, second reading. Ordinance establishing 20-mile-an-hour speed limit for Pike County Road 1017, Taylor Fork. 37 residents petitioned the court to establish a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit. Whereas the public welfare and safety of these residents, as well as all residents of the county, are of utmost importance. Now therefore be it ordained that there shall be a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit on County Road number 1017, Taylor Fork. It is further ordained that the road supervisor shall procure the signs setting forth the speed limit and have them posted at prominent places along said road. It is further ordered that the penalty for violation of this ordinance shall be the same as set forth in Kentucky Revised Statute 189.394, which is incorporated herein by reference.
All right, is there a motion to adopt this proposed ordinance establishing a 20-mile speed limit for Taylor Forks County Route 1017?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Robertson. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Booth. Any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. Next item is the awarding of bids. Mr. Fannin.
We had a bid opening on June 11th for our regular June bids. These are contracts that will be in place for our next fiscal year from July 1, 21 through June 30th of 2022. They are bid numbers 24-2021 through bid number 31-2021. The first bid was bid number 24-2021 for scrap tire disposal. 0 bids were received. I am in negotiation right now with a couple of vendors to supply that service for us. Bid number 25-2021 is for bituminous hot mix. 1 bid was received. It was from Mountain Enterprises of Lexington, Kentucky. It's my recommendation that we award the bid to Mountain Enterprises.
Did
Bid number
check,
2.
Greg, did we check with that company over in Virginia?
We have not. They,
Put it
I
out for
think,
bid.
were willing to provide for a portion of the county, but I have not been in contact with them.
We put it out for bid and they just didn't respond.
Correct.
All right, go ahead.
Bid 26-2021 for hardware items and small tools. 5 bids were received. United Central of Chapmanville, West Virginia. Justice Supply of Pikeville, Kentucky. J.D. Westcott and Son of South Williamson, Kentucky. Thompson Hardware of Pikeville and MGC Supply of Pikeville. It's my recommendation that we award the bid to all of the above vendors. Bid number 27-2021 is for off-road diesel. 1 bid was received from Jones Oil Company. It's my recommendation that we award the bid to Jones Oil. Bid number 28-2021 is for office supplies. 1 bid was received from C&R Office Supply of Pikeville. It'd be my recommendation that we award the bid to C&R Office Supply. We also have some other office supply vendors that are on our co-op contract that we have the ability to purchase from. Bid number 29-2021 is for concrete. 2 bids were received. The Wells Group LLC of West Liberty, Kentucky, and Right Way Ready Mix of Pikeville. It'd be my recommendation that we award the bid to both vendors. Some of the products at one of the vendors are a little bit less expensive, or at the other vendor, some of the other products are less expensive, and also we wouldn't want to be in a position where we'd need concrete and one or the other of the vendors weren't able to supply it when we needed it. Bid number 30-2021 is for drilled steel retainer in place. 1 bid was received. It was from King Creek Drilling of Zoe, Kentucky. It's my recommendation that we award the bid to King Creek Drilling. Bid number 31-2021 is for white sandstone mined and processed. 1 bid was received. It was from Rapid FM Aggregate of Pikeville. It's my recommendation that we award the bid to Rapid FM Aggregates. Those are my determinations and findings.
Greg, while we're into this, before we vote, I think you've got some information about our dozer that we purchased. And Brian had talked to the vice president of the company too, so can you tell us so the court knows what they told?
I was a little concerned after our last meeting about the purchase of the dozer. It's a brand new dozer, but it is a leftover. It's a 2019 model. And on a new dozer, when you buy a John Deere dozer, the John Deere warranty has a 1-year comprehensive, more or less bumper-to-bumper warranty on it. It also has a 3-year, 4,000-hour powertrain warranty on it. Because it was a 19 model, even though it was new, They just wanted to give us the 3-year, 4,000-mile powertrain warranty and not a 1-year comprehensive bumper-to-bumper. Kind of bothered me, and so I talked to him, the salesman I was dealing with, several times, and he talked to his people, and they talked to corporate, and corporate wasn't willing to do it. You know, I said, we've bought 4 excavators in the last year, you know, from Leslie Equipment. If we're going to buy a brand new dozer that you represent it to be, you know, we need a comprehensive warranty. So they have agreed, and I'm sure with Brian talking to the people there, it, you know, has helped a whole lot. But bottom line is, Leslie Equipment is going to provide a 1-year comprehensive bumper-to-bumper warranty on that equipment also, along with the powertrain warranty.
Brian, that's what you talked to the vice president about too.
Yeah, when Ronnie called me yesterday and said that they wasn't wanting to put no warranty on it or whatever, no, I called him, and he said it wouldn't be no problem whatsoever putting a warranty on it.
Yeah.
It was a new dozer and everything and all, it's just where it was the old model.
I was concerned about that because originally that's not what they were going to do.
Well, and this dozer has not been out for any rental. It is a brand new dozer.
Correct.
It's not pushed any dirt at all.
Correct.
Okay.
So what, do we have to pay extra for the warranty, or they just?
No, sir.
So they're gonna cover it with a warranty, okay.
And actually, corporate is not going to cover it. Leslie Equipment themselves are going to cover it.
All right. Let's, so the bids we have before us, is there a motion to award bid 25-2021 for bituminous hot mix to Mountain Enterprises in Lexington, Kentucky? You want to do them all?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do them all. Is there a motion to award, as Mr. Fan has recommended, bid 25-2021 for bituminous hot mix to Mountain Enterprises of Lexington, to award bid 26-2021 for hardware items to United Central, Justice Supply, J.D. Westcott, Thompson Hardware, and MGC Supply? Did Tri-County not bid on that, Greg?
No, sir. They are in our March bid for parts and related items.
Okay. And then off-road bid 27-2021 to Jones Oil Company for Pikeville, Kentucky, for off-road diesel. To award bid 28-2021 for office supplies to CNR Office Supply. To award bid 29-2021 for concrete to the Wells Group of West Liberty and Rightway Ready Mix of Pikeville. Toward drill steel retainer plate under bid 30-2021 to King Creek Drilling of Zoe, Kentucky, and bid 31-2021 to White Sandstone to Rapid FM Aggregates LLC of Pikeville, Kentucky. Who is that, Greg? Is that?
They're a company that has taken over the quarry that MGC used to own.
Okay, gotcha. All right, is there a motion? Motion by Commissioner Booth, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Robertson. Any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett.
Yes.
Commissioner Booth.
Yes.
Judge Jones.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other business, sir?
That'll be all, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Little, you're up for the road supervisor. So with the Pike County Road Supervisor's report, can you give us an update on the blacktopping, weed mowing?
Weed mowing will be short. We're still waiting. I did take a call when I left just a second ago. The mower will be here tomorrow. They're picking it up today, and they'll deliver the new mower tomorrow.
When will we have it on the road?
Tomorrow. As soon as we get it, we'll put it out. But they are saying it's probably going to be around 1 o'clock delivery tomorrow.
Okay.
So,
if they can,
so by the time it's inventoried, it'll actually probably be the next day, Wednesday, Thursday.
You know who you're going to put on that one?
Yeah.
Okay. I want it taken care of, cleaned off after every. I mean,
Yeah.
we need to take care of these tractors.
Yep.
Any word on two more, Greg?
Last I heard, they could ship to have them July 5th, within a few days.
So,
I think we need to go ahead and decide right now and let Fabian make the,
None running right now. The other two went down yesterday, didn't they, Fabian?
They did. We've got one running today. We've got one that's probably gonna, if we decide to keep it, in the inventory, we're gonna have to take it and have the transmission rebuilt on it probably. And then we've got a bearing down in another one.
is this the same one we had the transmission rebuilt before?
No, it is not. It's a different
How
track.
about the one that we did have the transmission rebuilt in and they were supposed
Talked
to
him this
order
morning, and
linkage
he
for
was-
it?
He's still waiting on parts to, because it's hanging up in gear, so he's waiting on parts on it.
do you want to wait to see how the E-Series works?
I would. I mean, I think that's what I think that's what Commissioner Robertson was saying was see
I'm
how
just
it works and
saying,
then.
to shorten this up a little bit, if Fabian runs this tractor the next 3 or 4 days, he'll know if that tractor is capable of doing what we're needing done. And if it is,
Do you want to go ahead and authorize the purchase of it?
authorize Greg to go
But tell
ahead.
Greg to, can we do that, Frankie? Authorize the purchase, but hold off for a week on sending the paperwork out, so. We can't do that today because we didn't put it on the agenda. That's right.
We put it on that,
Yeah, it's a special meeting.
and then he'll know by then whether the tractor is worth, if it's what we need.
We could call it, let's let Fabian run it, we can have this meeting, because we've got to authorize, back up, we've got to discuss the library board budget,
Yes.
and we need to have that conversation with them. And then we need to, then we can put it on the agenda at that meeting, okay?
All right.
All right.
What about, we decide what you're gonna do about the transmission and the one that's out?
Yeah, I was gonna wait and know which one. We've got two with transmission
Well, I'm saying
issues.
the one that just went was the transmission.
One we're waiting on the parts on, and the other, well, we're still waiting on the garage to see. But they told me this morning, more than likely, if we keep that tractor, it would have to be sent off and have the transmission rebuilt.
How long does it take?
To rebuild that transmission this time of year, you're not gonna get it back in service this year. He's so booked up, Commissioner Tackett, that's the problem down there. It's just that he stays so booked up on those tractors. It's the London, and that he wouldn't be able to get it back in service. Which, out of 4 tractors, we've only managed to be able to keep about 2 of them running, per day.
Is there anybody else that can rebuild the transmission in the tractor?
Although that's something we can check in on. I don't know that answer, but we can check and see.
We might
You know
not
what?
need-
You know what I almost think we ought to do. Let's get this one in. We'll run it for a couple days. If Fabian's convinced that's what it'll work,
Yeah.
we can order 2 more Friday and have them here. I just don't see throwing good money at trying to keep this junk on the road. We've got rid of most of it. I mean, I don't think the public understands what we actually inherited.
Yeah.
I mean, try to keep the county running. It's,
And keep in mind too, guys, now these were the 4 best tractors that we had that we kept.
That's right.
So,
The thing about it is I don't think 3 tractors gonna cut this county.
it won't.
no, three tractors won't. It won't. You're gonna have to,
But you probably-
Lose 6 or 7 tractors total at the end of whenever the.
But if you get 3 this year and you get 1 or 2 next year, I mean, it's not gonna be something we can,
Well, I'm like the judge, we've had these transmissions fixed, and this one tractor that's on my lot, it's been fixed. How many times has it been down there?
it's
Well,
just,
we come in office.
oh
it was
yeah,
even down
yeah,
there.
it had been before. And then we've
We've came
taken
in
it.
office, it's been down there one time, come back, and it's not performed at all. They say the linkage is bad on it. It looks like to me when you take it down there to have a transmission fixed, they would know if the linkage was bad on it. I mean, so I'm about like the judge. I mean, we just need to do away with what we've got. I mean, there's
You're
no
not
sense
gonna-
keep putting money in these things.
Commissioner Tackett's right. You need at least 2 or 3 more besides.
We do,
You bought 3 this year. You probably need to get a couple next year.
we do.
Why don't we just this fall order 2 more and get rid of the 4 junk ones that we got and make you a
That
total of
would be-
5, and
That would be a good idea.
then we can take the other stuff that we've got and auction it off and maybe get enough to
Sounds like a good idea.
buy some more.
But I mean, you give me 2 or 3 days with this new mower, and I'll know, which I don't foresee it being. I think it's going to be exactly what we want. But
I do
it's
too.
better to look
I
and
think it
see.
is too.
It's one size bigger than what we was gonna get.
Yeah,
Only
And it-
difference
and
is the frame. Only difference is really the frame.
It's got a bigger mower,
yeah,
longer boom.
Yep.
it's longer boom and a bigger cutting radius.
So we
This
can,
is-
we
should
can
be
just
better.
kind of figure, if these work out the way we want to, then Greg can get a jump start on it for next year, and we'll have him here,
Before mowing season starts.
yes.
Yeah,
Have a fall auction in November and order them in December, and that way you'll definitely have them by March.
Yeah.
Well, we thought we ordered them in February thinking we'd have them.
But either
Actually,
way
one
you
of
go,
those
we
was
won't have to
placed in
fix that,
November.
fix the transmission in that one before you can sell it.
I
Or you gonna
believe,
sell it for scrap one.
I think me and Fabian talked, I believe they sold their tractors on us.
yeah. We need to, I'll still need, to run some of these tractors though.
Exactly.
Even if we do get the other 2, I'll need to run a couple of these older ones until, I'm not saying like the one with the transmission, we can park it. But the
Park
other
it, and
ones-
put the linkage on the other transmission, and
Yeah, and run those.
So why don't we call around and see what a transmission is for the other one down? They might can put it in, get another company to do it.
The rebuild on the one that we'd taken off the other lot was, I think, 13.
$1,300.
No, 13,000.
Uh,
That's putting way too,
it's not a good idea.
no.
Okay.
And then as far as the paving goes, Judge, we have managed to pave 19 miles so far this year.
This year.
That was left over, the flex, the drawdown money, and then out of the budget, we've managed to do 19.
How much total paving this fiscal year?
You've caught me for a loop there. I can get it, but I don't have that number. And I don't want to send it out there and it be wrong. But
Get it for me today if you can.
I will, I'll get it.
And I want to say, I went up Stratton this morning before I come over here. Stratton looks really, really good. Done a real good job on that. Looks great.
Good.
All right. Anything else? We have, we have the road department completed work orders and scheduled work orders. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Booth. Any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett,
Yes.
Commissioner Booth,
Yes.
Judge Jones.
Yes. All right, treasurer's business.
Authorize payment of the expenditure approval list dated June 21st and any other utility and telephone bills received before checks are run. I think we only need like 2 more bills, so we'll probably run checks tomorrow. They should show up in the mail today. The bill list is high this month, 1.4 million, but there's the payout on the supplements to the PVA and sheriff on there. There's our deposit on workers' comp. There's $416,000 worth of blacktop. So,
For that 417, we should get back though, correct?
a lot of that, yeah, is flex money and coal severance.
Psychiatric evaluations,
How much was it?
$31,230. The county has no business being required to pay that, none.
That's what I was gonna ask you about, how much that was, but now that's terrible. Is this repeated people?
Some of them are.
It can be.
Who
They can.
Who chooses to do that?
They're all court ordered.
I mean, how many times do you need to go down there and tell you whether you're a nut or not a nut or whatever? I mean,
It might be a little more complicated than that. But it's,
but
you know,
I agree, it is a lot more complicated than that.
if Judge May and Judge Wright had not taken the steps they had to hold that down, it'd be a lot more than that. Oh, our district judges have done a fantastic job of trying to screen them. Unfortunately, the statute requires it to be paid by the county.
Is there another place we can send them?
You know what the legislature needs to do is they need to make Medicaid pay for it. It needs to be come under Medicaid instead of the general fund of the county. I mean, it makes no sense. But interestingly, in the years I was in the legislature, not one person ever mentioned that to me. Well, they spend it all too.
I have to talk to Senator Wheeler and see if he can introduce a bill on that or something.
Well, that's something that needs to be done. That needs to be changed. All right, is there a motion to authorize approval of the bill payment list and authority to pay all bills that come in for utilities and telephone before the checks are run?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Booth, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tackett. Any other questions? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett,
Yes.
Commissioner Booth.
Yes.
Judge Jones.
Yes.
Authorize a standing order for checks to Mountain Enterprise to pay blacktop invoices up to the available funds remaining in the 2020-21 budget for the blacktop line items for the.
So what's the
The road
purpose of this,
fund.
Frankie?
When he gets finished paving, I think through today or tomorrow, there'll be a total of about 300,000 more in invoices that will completely finish up all the blacktopping for this fiscal year.
Okay. All right.
Those aren't on the bill list.
All right, is there a motion to authorize a standing order for checks to Mountain Enterprises to pay for blacktop invoices up to the available funds remaining in fiscal year 2020-2021 budget year under the blacktop line item accounts?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Booth, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Robertson. Any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett,
Yes.
Commissioner Booth.
Yes.
Judge Jones.
Yes.
And Judge, under additional treasurer's business, Justin gave me a bill for Assured Partners for our, it's for the agency fee for the property liability insurance. And I would ask permission to add that to the expenditure list when we run checks in the amount of $84,000.
And this is that's what we've already voted to pay.
We awarded the contract to them. This is the invoice for.
Will this go under the next fiscal year or this fiscal year? Should go under next fiscal year.
Well, we actually paid the agency fee for Assured Partners in June of last year. So,
Gotcha. All right, is there a motion to authorize check to Assured Partners for $84,000?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Robertson, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Booth. Any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett.
Yes.
Commissioner Booth, Judge Jones.
Yes. Is there a need for executive session? We do. So I'm gonna cut everybody loose. It's lunchtime. I'm gonna get everybody back to work. So we're gonna go ahead just to do, Mr. Tackett, anything from emergency management? Mr. Fan, anything else from you, sir? I can do those. Thank you. I appreciate that. Mr. Spears, anything? Mr. Williamson? Ms. Clevenger? Ms. Thacker, anything else? Ms. Vanover? Ms. Goff? Ms. Guy? Mr. Kaiser, anything else back on that reimbursement, on that hazard mitigation for Pompey Road? Did we ever hear back after we asked them to reconsider that? All right. Mr. Ratliff, anything? Mr. Morley, anything? Mr. Little, anything? All right. Mr. Maynard, anything else? All right. So with that being said, you all can go unless you have other business to bring before the court. And we do have need for executive session. Mr. Downey, would you please instruct the public and the members of the court on the relevant provisions of KRS Chapter 61 related to the entry into executive session to discuss personnel, specific personnel matters in possible or pending litigation.
Yes, Judge. KRS 61.810, paragraph C, to discuss proposed or pending litigation, and paragraph F to discuss specific personnel issues.
All right. Is there a motion to enter into executive session? Motion by Commissioner Robertson. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Booth. Any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett.
Yes.
Commissioner Booth.
Yes.
Judge Jones.
Yes, we will be in recess for executive session. We'll return at the call of the chair. Is there a motion to adjourn from executive session? Motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Booth. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson. Yes. Commissioner Tackett.
Yes.
Commissioner Booth.
Yes.
Judge Jones.
Yes. It is my motion to approve paying Jared Belcher for his work on June 1st and June 2nd at a 3H rate of pay as a welder on special crew. Approval to hire Jimmy Centers as heavy equipment operator at Road Lot 4 at a 5H rate of pay effective 6/7/21. And approval to move Ricky Thacker to a 3A rate of pay effective today. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tackett. Any question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett.
Yes.
Commissioner Booth.
Yes.
Judge Jones.
Yes. All right. Next item is anything from Colonel Downey. Anything, sir?
Just real quick, I was going to point out that we had another property over at Forest Hills that got clean from those letters we've been sending out about people. So I'm going to try to keep the court, and we have several people that have contacted me. But we've had a few success stories about people coming in and cleaning up vacant lots. And this one, they've torn the building down, seeded it with grass. And for you people listening, if you got one of those letters from the fiscal court that I signed off on, please get out and clean it up for your neighbor's sake. If you no other reason, if you need more time, call me. I'll work with you. But we are having success, so I just thought I'd report that.
Thank you. I've got one on my desk I need to give you today.
Okay.
All right. So let's go to the county commissioners, and we'll start with District 1, Commissioner Ronnie Robertson.
Well, Judge, I just don't have a lot to say today. I think we about said it all. And thank you, Colonel, for working on this dilapidated property for us. I really appreciate that. And if the people in the county would just strive a little bit harder to clean up their property, it makes people want to come and visit this area more, and hopefully it'll help us in our tourism thing that we want. Thank you.
Thank you. District 2, Commissioner Jason Tackett.
Judge, I'm about like Ronnie. I ain't got much more to say other than, people probably get tired of hearing this, but they're just going to have to give us a little time till we can get these weeds under control and get the equipment in to do it. If I could touch the mowers that's broke down, and they would fire up running and work for us for 2 months, we'd be in better shape, but I can't, so other than that, Judge, that's all I've got.
85-degree weather and rain every other day does not help the situation.
No.
Commissioner Booth in District 3.
Judge, I know I said it earlier, but I'll tell you, I think our paving crew's doing a really good job on the roads. It really looked good what they done over in there, they paved last week. Also, I just like to say it feels good just to see people without, not have to wear a mask and stuff and all. We took some kids, a youth group at church down to Dollywood, and just see so many people again that ain't got masks on and all. It was really enjoyable, so I'm just glad to see us not have to wear the mask and everything again. That's about all I've got today, Judge.
Thank you, sir. Before we move to adjourn, Supervisor Fabian Little confirmed that we have paved 53 miles of county roads this fiscal year. The paving we did this year is probably more than the last 6 or 10 years, 6 or 8 years anyway, combined, and we're going to probably end up doing could be close to 70 miles of paving next year is what we have budgeted. So we are continuing to work on roads. We're trying to make sure that we're addressing the needs in terms of our transportation, but it would be nice if we could get some more help from Frankfurt. We do appreciate what the administration has done in terms of emergency funding and discretionary funding. However, we do need more county road aid, and I certainly wish the legislature would step up to the plate on that. So with that being said, is there a motion? Back up. Commissioner Booth, would you say the benediction for us?
Yes, dear Heavenly Father, as we come before you today, dear Lord. Lord, watch over us as we all travel to our homes, dear Heavenly Father, and Lord, bless our county, dear Heavenly Father, and go with us, dear Lord, until we meet again, dear Heavenly Father. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
A motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Robertson. Any other business to come before the court? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett.
Yes.
Commissioner Booth.
Yes.
Judge Jones.
Yes, we are adjourned.